Thank you for joining us for this special edition of KPBS News. I'm Maya Trabulsi. This week brought a somber milestone as San Diego and the nation struggle with the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. The number of reported deaths in the U.S. passed 100,000. Locally, the number of deaths in San Diego County reached 260 with more than 7,000 reported cases. When it comes to the gradual easing of restrictions, barbershops and hair salons were given the okay to reopen, and the state has issued guidelines for houses of worship to resume in-person services. And starting next week, some good news for those who want to go to our local beaches and stay a while.
We know people have been anxious to sit and relax and sunbathe on the sand so that they can truly enjoy their day at the beach. Well, next week on Tuesday, June 2nd, passive activities will be allowed on beaches so long as groups stay within their household units, social distance from other non-family members, and wear facial coverings.
And that was County Supervisor Greg Cox making the announcement. There will still be some restrictions. Group activities like football and volleyball will not be allowed, and parking lots and piers will remain closed. The opening of boardwalks will be up to each coastal city. And again, the new changes take effect on Tuesday, June 2nd. This week brought the unofficial start of summer with the Memorial Day holiday. KPBS reporter Max Nadler shows us how beach communities welcomed the crowds safely.
The beaches weren't as crowded as a normal holiday weekend, but the taps were flowing at Mike Hess Brewery in Imperial Beach. There were a few very noticeable differences this weekend as the brew pub was open for the first time in months. Masked customers were escorted to their well-spaced picnic tables, and wait service brought drinks from the bar. Once you were at the table, you were asked to stay there, unless you were going to the bathroom. The general manager at the bar, who goes by Red, said this is all about making sure service is done safely.
Safety is our priority with our community, especially IB. They've treated us really well. We Purell sanitize all the tables along with a sanitizing spray afterwards.
She said that police and local officials had checked in throughout the weekend to make sure that everything was going smoothly. The South Bay has been hardest hit by COVID-19 in the county.
As long as we're doing our due diligence and our customers are also doing their due diligence, I think we're going to make it through. But to have this open for people and people respecting the rules is what's going to bring us together and also survive this whole pandemic.
Mike Hess is the owner of his namesake brewery and was happy that the city had closed down the street in front of the brewery to give local business owners a chance to move their business outside, where there's more space.
Having the outdoor space and for us being able to expand, maybe it even goes every weekend through the course of the summer as it just allows businesses, like Vitamin C Wellness right here, obviously us, to come out and bring the product out to people. And then it's just so nice to have a pedestrian pathway right here along the beach. It's really fantastic.
The Silver Strand was filled with people walking on the beach with lifeguards and police patrolling nearby. But everyone kept their distance. Congregating is still not allowed on any beaches in San Diego County. On Newport Avenue and Ocean Beach, it was another story. People lined up in crowded sidewalks for tacos, ice cream, and burgers.
We came down to Ocean Beach to get some hodads with the dogs.
Gahan D'Souza came down from Carlsbad for some burgers he was eating in his car. He thought hodads had done enough to ensure safety.
It was great. They actually had orange tape, so we were all 6 feet apart, and everybody was standing with masks and, pretty socially distancing.
County health officials have been watching how closely businesses are hewing to their guidelines.
It's a very different Memorial Day than we used to.
For many businesses, Memorial Day weekend, the biggest beach weekend of the year, was a trial run. As San Diego continues its downward trend in positive coronavirus cases, they're hoping for good results. Max Nadler, KPBS News.
And changes are coming to one of San Diego's summer traditions, horse racing at Del Mar. The Thoroughbred Club says it plans to start its season on July 10th, pending the approval of the California Horse Racing Board. That decision could come at the board's June 11th meeting. The track will operate without spectators for the foreseeable future. Theme parks across California might also reopen soon. Those attractions fall under the next phase of the state's reopening plan. Local theme parks say they will be ready. KPBS reporter John Carroll has more.
San Diego County's three major attractions, SeaWorld, the USS Midway Museum, and Legoland California, have all been empty of visitors for weeks now. This footage of Legoland is from happier times. The three organizations presented their reopening plans to county officials under their umbrella organization, the San Diego Attraction Coalition. The San Diego Zoo is not part of the group. The Attraction Coalition would not make anyone available to go on camera, and neither would the county. But both released statements. From the Attraction Coalition, while the attractions will all be ready to reopen on July 1st if authorized, the plan now moves on to state officials for additional review and guidance. As the San Diego Attraction Coalition, we were greatly appreciative to county staff for the opportunity to present our reopening plan to them today. And here's the county's statement. We had a very productive meeting with SeaWorld, the Midway, and Legoland. They have been working hard on reopening. The state will make the decision as to when theme parks can open. We will be ready to assist them to open safely when the governor clears them to open. There is no shortage of questions in regard to how theme parks can operate safely during the COVID-19 pandemic. How do you keep people physically distant from each other in environments that were built for thousands of people gathering to have fun? How do you safely operate roller coasters with screaming riders, even if they are wearing face coverings? How would the Midway handle visitors in some of its more cramped spaces? All questions that will have to wait for another day. The governor said a couple of weeks ago that as long as a county's health system could handle a surge in cases, the move into Stage 3 could happen soon, as in the next couple of weeks. But as he's said many times, his decision of precisely when will be guided by data and science. It can't happen soon enough for the parks, which have taken an enormous financial hit since shuttering in mid-March. The cities of San Diego and Carlsbad and the Port District have shared in the pain as well, with their share of revenues from the parks having fallen off a cliff since the properties closed. But now that other Stage 3 businesses like barbershops and hair salons have been given the green light to reopen, it's only a matter of time before the screams of delight from children and adults alike will again fill the air, and some of the cash they leave behind will fill the coffers of local government once again. John Carroll, KPBS News.
We've reported on how COVID-19 has disrupted graduation ceremonies, and that means our best and brightest high school graduates won't get the standing ovation that they deserve. KPBS education reporter Joe Honk spoke to valedictorians about what it's like to earn this honor during a pandemic.
High school seniors, family members, underclassmen, and the hardworking staff. The speech that I'm giving to you all today wasn't what I had planned, but
Jorge Nunez is the valedictorian at San Diego Unified's Hoover High School. This is the speech he's planning to give over a virtual graduation.
We have cultivated a culture of unity and strength, but that will not only help us overcome this pandemic, but one that would also help us to achieve our future goals.
In June, Nunez will graduate with a 4.59 GPA, but he wasn't always an all-star student.
I think in middle school and elementary school, I kind of had like a little slump, like I didn't really see the purpose of studying, because, I thought it was boring, and I didn't have a purpose at that time.
When he was a freshman, he went to his brother's graduation where he saw that year's valedictorian give his speech. That's when he decided to turn his life around. I
went to his graduation and I saw like valedictorian and they're like number one, they were giving a speech. And I was wondering, and they're being very recognized. And I want to do that, for my parents.
His hard work earned him a spot at UC Berkeley, where he'll study electrical engineering and computer science as a first-generation college student. Nunez says he understands a valedictorian speech is not that important in the context of a pandemic, but he's still disappointed.
So I say beginning of 10th grade, when for our school, that's when it starts counting towards valedictorian. It's, I had it as a goal, but I didn't make it to seem like, it's the only important thing.
Carlos Sanchez was honored when he found out he was valedictorian of Sweetwater High in Chula Vista, but he says getting the news during an online learning session was awkward.
When you go on to a meeting with your teachers in the class, like the teacher would congratulate you, and then everyone else is on mute, and then you're just like, thank you to the teacher.
Sanchez will be studying biochemistry at Harvey Mudd College in the fall. In North County at Fallbrook High School, valedictorian Emiliano Corona is graduating with a 4.4 GPA.
Friends, families, and class of 2020, my name is Emiliano Corona, and I know what you're thinking. Yes, that really is my last name, and no, the virus was not named after me. However, I do understand if there was some confusion regarding the headline, Corona takes top spot.
Corona is headed to Stanford to study political science and economics. The grandson of immigrants from Mexico, he said the support for minority students on the Stanford campus is one of the main reasons for his choice.
It's just that idea of seeing someone that represents you in a place that you could never see yourself, like you never thought you could see yourself. That's really empowering to my family and like how I view the world.
Arushi Dogra is the valedictorian at Del Norte High School in the Poway Unified School District. She and her friends were sad so many end-of-the-year events were canceled, but Dogra says the journey was well worth it.
Like in high school, I learned to take a lot of initiative by myself, whether it be like clubs that I started or like which classes to take. Like those decisions were pretty much like completely mine. And it helped me both with like decision making, because I'm usually pretty indecisive about things, and also just like planning my own future in a way.
She's graduating with a 4.59 GPA and attending Yale, where she hopes to study microbiology. Looking ahead, she's anxious about being surrounded by equally accomplished students. But there's a lot to be excited about.
Yeah, that's definitely intimidating, but I think it's also exciting in a way, because I'm excited to meet people that like have the same interests as me, have had some of the similar experiences as me, and yeah.
Joe Hong, KPBS News.
San Diego County has partnered with Rady Children's Hospital to expand COVID-19 testing. KPBS reporter Shalina Chatlani says the collaboration will ramp up testing for children and their parents.
So we test the child, we test the family, and we are testing healthcare providers. This is a uniquely innovative partnership.
At the Rady Children's Hospital in Linda Vista, Wilma Wooten outlines the purpose behind the county's new partnership.
The prevalence of asymptomatic COVID-19 infection and the duration of pre-symptomatic infections in children are not well understood, as asymptomatic individuals are not routinely tested. And that's one thing that we will see that is different with this initiative and partnership.
Around 6% of county positive cases are below the age of 19, but often a lot of other cases are asymptomatic and go unrecorded. So the program will help the county test and collect data on more children and adults, especially those who may not be showing symptoms.
We will initially begin testing all of our Rady Children's satellite clinics, as well as specialty clinics and affiliated primary care offices during their existing appointments. The intent is to test every patient we see, not just the high-risk patients.
Nick Holmes, Chief Operating Officer for Rady, says the hospital system provides services at more than 20 sites across the county. Testing will be offered as an option to children and parents with every appointment. Shalina Chatlani, KPBS News.
With many San Diegans working from home indefinitely, some of the technology that helps make that work happen is getting a boost. On Thursday, San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer announced a citywide expansion of 5G wireless service. The city is working with Verizon on the rollout, and some of the first neighborhoods to get the upgrade will be Linda Vista, Mission Valley, Kensington, and Bankers Hill. More people are going back to work now that San Diego County leaders have allowed restaurants and retail stores to reopen. But what happens to those who need to put their kids in daycare? KPBS reporter Claire Tregesser says many facilities trying to reopen are struggling with confusing and sometimes conflicting regulations.
There was plenty of times where I had to be like, I'm sorry, and mute it, and you guys, mommy's on a phone call, please. Here, have a snack. Give me like 5 minutes.
Brandy Levitt is a single mom who works for a chain of local restaurants, including Raglan Public House in Ocean Beach. While the restaurants were closed to dine-in customers, she was home with her 2 daughters. But now that they've opened up, she needs to be back at work.
People are going to have to, I don't know, hopefully families will be able to start helping each other again.
Luckily, her daughter's preschool just reopened with restrictions. Classes are limited to 6 kids. It's one of many new regulations daycares are trying to get a handle on. KPBS asked several daycare providers if they fully understand the reopening rules.
No.
Denise Vick runs the Children's Growing Center in Mission Valley.
I think I'm clear, but things are changing, obviously, week to week.
Then there are other rules Vick says she needs to make up on her own.
Even my sick policy, I just sort of decided how long I was going to keep people out.
Friends, can you guys tell me what is that?
No. She feels like daycare is not a priority for elected officials.
And every day I'm reading stories that we need childcare to reopen our economy, to get these parents back to work. But I don't know, there seems to be a breakdown somewhere.
Of course, it's complicated. Health officials want to put strict limitations on daycares because small kids don't do a good job controlling disease, washing hands, and following social distancing rules. The worry is that kids could pass the disease between each other and then carry it back home with them. But daycares also can't have so many rules that it makes it too difficult for them to reopen. A county spokeswoman did confirm there have been no COVID-19 outbreaks at the daycares that stayed open throughout the pandemic.
For businesses to reopen up, we should be expanding the facility as well, too.
San Diego City Councilman Chris Cate is one government official who has a vested interest in daycares reopening. He has 2 young kids, including a daughter who's in a home daycare. Before the pandemic, there were potentially twice as many children who needed daycare as available daycare spots in the county, according to a survey from the YMCA. The shortage is now far worse and threatens the overall opening of the local economy.
Now that's wait staff and servers, right? And that you're potentially going to need, and they're going to, if they have kids, they're going to need daycare. You know, are they able to go now to their child care facility and place their kid in there, or are they going to have to wait? You know, and does that mean that they have to pass on the shifts and give it to the next person? You know, there's this domino effect to some of these decisions where, you know, I'm more than anybody want to see businesses open up, but you know, there also needs to be those conversations.
He says county and state officials need a clearer message and quickly.
But anything else is going to be needed really rather quickly in the coming days and weeks as we start to act on some of these things and expanding businesses sooner rather than later.
Claire Tregesser, KPBS News.
And that was part of a series of reports by Claire Tregesser on local daycare rules under COVID-19. You can see part 2 right now at kpbs.org. Just how prepared was the city of San Marcos for the national emergency caused by the coronavirus? In our latest community check-in, I talked with Mayor of San Marcos, Rebecca Jones. She talked about the city's response to help local businesses shut down by public health orders, as well as how the city council plans to handle budget shortfalls in the near future. Mayor, thank you for joining me. Over the years, San Marcos has become a bustling city with franchises and small businesses. How have they weathered this storm, and how has San Marcos been able to provide a lifeline to them?
I think we have done an excellent job, and people that were on the council far before I was, and that was making sure that we saved money. And so walking into this COVID-19 situation, having a reserve of 40% of our budget, which was over 80 million, and now we've pared that down to about 75 million. You know, I think it's been very helpful for us because we were, I believe we were the first city, possibly the city of San Diego was the same week, but we offered, and just to give you an idea of how much money it is, so we set aside $3 million for short-term loans for our businesses, small businesses that could apply up to $50,000. And so, you know, seeing people pivot and figure out how to evolve in this, and you know, with our help, it's been great that to watch these businesses continue to move on and plod forward. I think there is, you know, this whole sense of community that is now being created, and I'm just so proud that over 110 businesses we were able to help with that $3 million.
What would you say has been maybe the silver lining here in terms of what San Marcos has learned to work and live with during these times?
Wow, that's a tough question. I would say probably, you know, we've always had a very entrepreneurial look at business and that sort of thing. We are a charter city. We still have a lot of businesses that are looking at the city We have North City that is growing into finally our downtown, because if you drive through our city, we've never really had a defined downtown. That is still working. We have a Kaiser hospital that's going to be built here, 206 beds. So we have a lot of things that are happening. And that is, I think, us continuing to invest in our economic development efforts and really seizing opportunities as they're coming along today during all of this, and not stopping and closing up shop, and really trying to look at opportunities and having, like I said, the $3 million set aside for our small businesses. It's really been us able to, being able to, pivot in times like this, and really being prepared. And that is, us being fiscally responsible, I think.
Can you tell us where San Marcos is ending its fiscal year?
I think a lot remains to be seen. We will be okay, but we are going to be talking about cuts on pay. I think we should be the first ones to take a 10% pay cut, because it's important for us to show our employees that we are all in this together. And I don't want to be one of those mayors that says, yeah, that's good for everyone else. I think leadership is about setting the stage, showing that you're willing to do the same thing. And mind you, we don't make very much as a city council, right around $12,000 a year. However, I think it's important that we did take that first step. So we did discuss it, and no one was disagreeing with that. So that will be happening. But there will be some hiring freezes and discussion of pay cuts. We still are trying to be flexible, and there's a lot that we don't know. So flexibility is honestly the name of COVID-19. And again, being very rational in all of your thoughts, not hasty, but also not too slow on your decisions. And that's really what we're looking at here.
And KPBS is tracking COVID-19 cases by neighborhood. This week, zip codes in Otay Mesa, Chula Vista, and National City are at the top of the list. For a closer look at your area, go to kpbs.org. Area malls are opening up by next Friday with safety measures. Westfield UTC, Mission Valley, North County, and Plaza Bonita are reopening with modified hours. Individual store hours may vary. The Westfield shopping centers say they will clean the malls more frequently, control the number of shoppers, and enforce social distancing and face mask rules. Restaurants were allowed to reopen this week, but with certain guidelines in effect. KPBS arts and culture reporter Beth Accomando finds out how a cafe in Hillcrest is using humor to help customers.
I'm here at Bread and Sea with owner Charles Kaufman, and he's instituted some policies for social distancing that are kind of interesting. Charles, what are you doing here?
Well, I think the first thing is I need to put my cafe social distancing hat, and that way I can remove my mask. This assures that there is 6 feet. These baguettes assure that there's 6 feet between me and anybody around me. One of the things that we're having now is customers wearing the baguette social distancing hat. We find that is effective and works.
In bread terms, social distancing is 2 baguettes. Kaufman, who left a career in filmmaking to bake bread, still likes to exercise his creativity whenever he can, as in the bakery's social media videos.
Can I have a fork, please? You think I'm an animal? And it's good for the morale of the employees here and keeps me sane.
Since 1994, Bread and Sea has boasted that it's open and baking every day of the year except Christmas. It even continued to bake and do takeout and delivery when the coronavirus pandemic forced a statewide shutdown. But on Thursday, Kaufman was told he could reopen the cafe so long as certain guidelines were enforced, like reduced capacity.
What we've done is we've spaced the tables, but we also have put tables where people cannot sit, where we put other characters at the tables to assure that there's enough distance between the tables that can be occupied. One of the reasons why we're trying to keep it light and fun is we find that customers are more agreeable to the requirements that we're asking of them. I'm a little upset that you're not wearing a hat, Beth. This is but you do have a mask.
Keeping both employees and customers safe is key for Kaufman.
We have to actually have 2 people full-time We greet people. We kind of explain to the customers the protocol now. We also have to have someone to constantly spray down the tables and chairs and bathrooms. And next, we're thinking of hosing down all the customers out front prior to but we have to get a fire hose extension for that.
Bread and C's humor, along with its food, have made it a cherished part of the Hillcrest community.
I think people were very happy to come back and be around other people, at least. And I think we are a community place here as well, so I think people get some sort of comfort out of it. Plus, it's more fun to serve customers and welcome back the folks in our community. The way I see it, if you can't be profitable, at least be funny. And during these times, we really cannot be profitable.
The bakery and cafe did see a spike up in business over the weekend as patrons sat among furry Muppet-like creatures to enjoy some pastries and sandwiches outside of their homes.
From Bread and C in Hillcrest, I'm Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
And that's all for this special edition of KPBS News. For all of us here at KPBS, I'm Maya Trabulsi. Thank you for joining us, and stay safe.